Republic. Liberty and justice for all.
All right. Okay. Well, first off, welcome. It's great to see a nice crowd here again. Just going to hold this this evening. Start off. I think we did have some agendas back there from our August meeting. August was sort of an interesting meeting. We just did a bit of a outside stand-up meeting in front of the Historical Center. And then we discussed and did a nice tour of the exhibit that was being, that was there with the Smithsonian, from the Smithsonian exhibit. So it was nice to do that. So if everybody's had a chance to review the minutes, is there any corrections or questions? Otherwise, I'll accept a motion to approve. Motion approved by Tim Kohlenberg, second by Kevin Jeffries. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so moved. The agenda, we also had copies of the agenda at the table. After the agenda was sent out last night, I believe Mary wants to make one motion to make one change in the agenda.
I understand Debbie Dawn is here, and she would like, I think she lives in 103, 103. It's our vice chair position in D 106. She's interested in filling that position.
I will have that up on screen here, so you'll see some of the additions that we're going to be making here. But that is one that we want to put into the agenda for us to consider. People that have come forward here in the last month to become a voting member of the Oldham County GOP. So with that addition, is there any other additions to the agenda? If not, I would accept a motion to approve the agenda. I'm sorry. So Mary made a motion to amend the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda with amendments. As amended.
With amended, yes. Okay. We have a motion to accept the agenda. That's a, you're making the motion to accept the agenda. Okay. All right. All in favor of approving the agenda, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on. First off, from the chair here. At our first meeting, I knew we had a lot of agenda items, and I overlooked one thing, and I apologize. I know some of you are in the room that were here back in July as well. I'm going to ask that if we have some elected officials or visitors, I'm going to ask you just to stand up very quickly and just introduce yourself so we get to know you, if you would. So if you're not a voting member, just quickly just stand up. I know some of us are going to know some of the folks that we probably think already are. But John, that's John Clark. He has been a past precinct officer. He had to leave us when he moved to Louisville, but he's been coming back and joining us ever since. He's been a great member in the past. Thank you. Go ahead in the front. Oh,
I'm Amy Alvey.
Amy, good to see you. Oh, excellent. Do we have a club that we started? Oh, I thought you were saying that there was a young Republican club. I'm getting excited here on behalf of Connor. So, all right. Thank you. Oh, I'm always excited about you folks. Hey, I'm even a member. All right. Liz, welcome. Oh, great. Welcome. Glad to have you with us. And we've got that on the agenda too, so I'm sure we'll hear just a little bit more about that, but all right, great. Over here.
Hi, I'm Melanie Murphy, and I'm the resident here and have 4 children. 3 are in school, Norfolk High, Norfolk Middle, and Goshen Elementary, and the youngest I pulled out because she couldn't breathe. So she's comfortable.
Yes, that's a shame that you had to do that, but it is where we're at these days. But welcome, thank you, folks. Okay, very good. Where did you move from 5 years ago? Just New York. All right, we've got another one up here. All right, great. Welcome, Chris. All right, Chuck, welcome. I think that's I'm pretty sure that's going to be another one of our future precinct officers back there. He's smiling at me. I don't see him nodding quite yet, but
I have people make sure that they sign the attendance list and put in their email if they want to be on the meeting.
did you all catch that? So make sure you sign in, get us your contact information so we can keep you posted as to what's going on here with us. Elected officials, I see Bob back there. Anything you want to note real quickly here?
I'm Bob Robinson. Not too much to talk about right now, but we can vote the tax, the real estate tax, we didn't raise it, by the way. Destruction of the old courthouse at the jail, we haven't been out there, it's moving on. And the other thing is the Rising of 71, if we haven't gone in, it's moving on. Have any questions? My phone number, easiest way to answer my cell is 299-7371. And I can give you my email address. Call me and I can tell you my number. 299-7371.
And I will say, Bob is very good about being responsive if you have a question or concern. He's one of our better magistrates in that regard. So thank you, Bob. Well, you have been with me, I'll put it that way. So, all right. And we've got Tim up here. I know he's kind of hiding a little bit. You want to say hi? Okay, and we have to, I'm not going to, well, I am going to kind of put you on the folks, a couple that just came in here. We were just introducing ourselves, any of the visitors here. If you want to stand up and just say hello to us, let us know who you are. Okay, great. Well, welcome here again. Make sure you sign in if you would, if you'd like to catch Yes, you are. Okay, did I miss anybody? All right, let's keep moving on. I didn't see Andrea here. Andrea Nykirk, and sometimes it's hard to see with the lights here. I'd invited Andrea Nykirk to come and say hello to us. She said she was going to try to get here. So apparently something must have come up. Andrea is the person who was just elected to the Oldham County School Board. And I wasn't able to make last night's meeting. I don't know if there's going to be an update that you folks might be able to provide that were there, but I did invite her to come to at least we can put a face to the name. And just as an FYI, she is a Republican. So appointed. Well, she was elected by the school board. But yeah, you're right. All right. Okay. Again, I just thought it would be nice for her to, we could put a face to the name there. I've got on here as well, 4th District election results noted, including Scott Jennings. And if you go to the next slide for a moment, please. This is your 4th District board, if you will. So John Park, he was our chairperson previously. He was reelected, and he was reelected unopposed. You can see some of the other folks. I went and put in some information as to, sometimes people are curious, is it, heavily weighted towards one part of the district versus the other? So you see Sarah Cameron, she's from up north in the Fort Thomas area. Corey Thomas is down this neck of the woods as the secretary. Justin Vanderglass is re-upped for a second term as the treasurer, and he's from the Newport area up north. And youth chair is Casimir Thornberry from Villa Hills. And then there's 4 at-large members, and we did. Villa Hills is up in the north, yeah. It's kind of in the, I want to say the Florence area, if you will. And then you see the 4 at-large members. Janet Cuthrell was our vice chair, and she stepped down and was elected in as a member at large. John Stanton, Judge Earl Bush, and then Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings was just elected as a precinct co-captain with us at our reorganization. And he's from Oldham. Honestly, I don't know Scott too well. I don't see him here. He's another one that I asked if he was going to be here, and I guess he couldn't make it tonight. But he is an opinion writer. So if you look up Scott Jennings, and if any of you get the commercial appeal, you may see some of his, yeah, there you go, his opinion pieces. So he has some really nice conservative pieces that are in the commercial, the Courier Journal, excuse me, I'm thinking my old paper. Jim? We've got the back is doing something, and I have to keep up with them on my laptop here. So that's what they were, I guess, looking for. Anyway, so it's great to have someone from actually our county is going to be a member at large for the 4th congressional district as a whole. Let's go back again here. The other thing I'm just going to mention before I pass the mic over to Mary is a few weeks ago, I was able to get admin rights to our Facebook page. And if you're not currently following our Facebook page, or if you haven't liked it, please do so. One of the things that I've been trying to be very diligent is to put some things out there. And sometimes it's just things to get people thinking, okay? The one that kind of exploded was with Thomas Massey. Some of you may or may not have heard that Congress decided to pull out the funding for the Iron Dome for Israel. Many of you, I see a lot of people shaking your head. And that was done because the squad of progressives said, if that's in the funding bill, we're gonna not support it. So they said, well, we'll go ahead and have it as a standalone bill. 9 people voted against that, the squad being 8 of them and 1 Republican. The 1 Republican was Thomas Massey. So I put the question out there. You know, Thomas votes against a lot of these types of spending bills for fiscal reasons. And so I said, was that a correct vote by our congressman to not support our ally? And it was $1 billion. It's not a small check. Or should he have, stood with the ally and kind of set aside the fiscal conservative stance? Just let that go. Well, Thomas responded, which was great. A typical post that we might put out there might get 100 views. Well, the last time I saw, we were up to 7,000 views. Okay. And again, it's because, in no small part, because the congressman himself was engaged in it. But that's the type, I mentioned that because that's the type of stuff that I think is good for us to, put out there. I'm putting stuff out there and I'm not, my opinion may not be your opinion, but I'll put things out there that may, again, get people to talk and start a conversation. And if that gets people more interested in getting involved, then I think we've met our purpose. So if you haven't, please do. I think we're getting close to 1,000 followers of the page. So it's nice to see that become much more engaged. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mary for co-chair. No co-chair report. All right, how about Connor? I know you've got something.
How's everybody doing? Good, good. I'm excited to be here. I was not excited when I was in E-Town traffic coming from Western Kentucky, but now that I'm here, I'm excited. So I wanted to start out by letting you guys know that I know those of you that were at our last meeting, I touched a lot on young Republican clubs in our schools in Oldham County. We came very close, or I may still be close to getting a club in North Oldham High School. I know you said you have some students that are in North Oldham High School. And where are you a teacher at, if I can ask? We have some teachers. No. At East, okay. So really close to having a club at North Oldham, which I'm super excited about because I don't believe there's been one since I graduated. So we're getting that back in the works. With that being said, I really need anybody that knows any teachers or students in South, OC, or North to reach out to me if you know anybody that may be interested, family members, friends, kids, grandkids. Give them my contact. I'd be happy, or meet me, come up and talk to me after the meeting. I'd be happy to talk to you and get that figured out. Getting high school kids involved can be like pulling teeth sometimes. So I can use any of the help you guys can give me on anybody that you know. I know many students at North Oldham, which is why we're close to having a club there, but I don't know as many at South and OC. So those schools in particular. With that being said, I'm planning some voter drives coming up in all 3 high schools that are going to be run by myself and other youth captains that we have. So hopefully we'll be able to engage with some students for that too, and they'll be able to get students registered. My main goal, and that'll be put on by Oldham County youth. So the next thing I want to touch on is getting a Facebook page set up, so that way many students are on Facebook. That way when we do the voter drive and start getting clubs set up, my plan is to get a club at North, South, and OC, but then have a monthly meeting where all 3 schools can get together and know each other, because at the end of the day, they'll be doing stuff at their own schools, but they also will be volunteering together throughout the whole county. Other than that, that's about all I have for now. But please, if you guys know of any students, like I said, or teachers that may be interested, come to me after the meeting. I'd be happy to reach out to whoever and we'll get it going. So thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to Mr. Vessels. Yeah, we'll play a little game real quick. If you are, and I don't want to target anybody, if you guys are under 75, raise your hand. 80. If you're under 65, raise your hand. Don't get your feelings hurt when you have to pay. You guys all look young. 55. There might be a test afterwards. 45. 40. Winner, 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 winner. If you guys did not know, technically youth is considered 40 and under. So we've got some, congratulations. So we've got some winners in the room. You guys specifically, please come up and talk to me after the meeting because I'm trying to right now target the high schools, but there's going to be plenty of opportunities for older youth, 40 and 30 in that age range to get together. And there's going to be plenty of opportunities for that too. So if you were one of the winners that had your hand raised at the end, please come up and talk to me after the meeting. So,
Money out. No reports to file, tear it up, so the checking account balance, 21,590.38. The income tax check off account is $756. So that leaves us with total funds available of $22,326.38. And since I always say this and never forget to say it, when you do your Kentucky income tax next year, check the box. Okay, for those of you that are unfamiliar with it, so that box is you want $2 to your choice, and 50 cents of it comes back to the county party, and we should this year exactly what it is. 25 cents, so it's like $631. So that leaves in 1,200 and whatever people in Owen County last year checked the box. That's terrible. With as many Republicans, I assume most everybody is filling out a Kentucky income tax form. So check the box, and then you won't have to beg for your money all year today.
So Connor had the answer. We're all over 60, so we forgot.
I did notice that Connor started, where'd you start out, 75? And who was it? John Clark and I didn't hold up our hands. I was thinking that maybe you'd start out at 85 and John wouldn't hold up his, but I could hold up mine. Anyway, I'm 78.
Perfect. All right. Really nothing there, but I guess we still should make a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Tim Kohlenberg motions, Debbie seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, we're moving on. Next slide. Sorry, I'm playing catch up on my slideshow too here. Okay, as far as unfinished business, we talked about and really introduced this idea at our July meeting, but a conversation about having 3 standing committees. You go ahead. One more. There we go. 3 standing committees. One is recruitment retention, one is on legislation, and one is on education. When you came in, if you missed it, there is a sign-up sheet back there. We're looking to get a committee together, and this could be a committee of, I'd like more than 2 people, obviously, but if we could get 4 or 5 people maybe on each of these committees, those committees are going to come up with their own mission statement. We've got some ideas on what we'd like for them to do, but I don't want to necessarily influence that. Recruitment and retention, real simple. It's in the name. I'm pleased with the numbers we've got here. I think we've got a number of additional folks that are going to express interest in becoming a voting member. Remember that we've got 38 precincts. If you take 38 precincts, and we've got 1 captain, 1 co-captain, and 1 youth captain in each. So 38 times 3 is 114 potential positions. I will tell you that I think that honestly, over the course of the next several meetings, we could fill all of the captain and co-captain positions. So just right there, that could be 76. And in my 4 years being involved with the group, I've never seen us come close to 76. So it'd be really nice to see us have all those positions filled. It just gives us that opportunity to spread the wealth as far as the work that we do. Retention, we want to kind of understand. This is the 3rd meeting since our reorganization. There's people that we haven't seen since reorganization. If they have not at least reached out to us to say, hey, I couldn't make it, can I get an excused absence? And again, for some of the newer folks, if you can't make a meeting, reach out to myself, reach out to Jim. We put it on the agenda, all of our contact information. That was one of the things that people said is, how do we reach you guys? I've got our phone number and our email on there. But I would specifically suggest reach out to either Jim or I if there's a reason, you can't make it. And it just can be, hey, I got my kid's soccer game. If you have a question, please. Well, as far as when we fill these precinct officer positions, there's a couple of things. Again, we have a number of different things that we'll be working on throughout the course of the year. One of our biggest events is the Lincoln Day. This year was a Lincoln Day picnic. In the past, it's a Lincoln Day dinner, and that requires a whole committee, an army of folks to make that successful. And we had one of our most successful ones this year. Other people say, well, but what else? Well, probably one of the most important things that we've done I'll say in the last decade happened last year. And that was that we had a state senator that retired. Who selected who was going to be the Republican candidate? It was those of us in this room that were precinct officers, as well as our friends in Jefferson County. The good news is because the district was weighted more heavily towards Oldham County, we had a 56-44 advantage in the actual vote that we had. So we decided that Bill Furco was going to be our candidate. That's, when people say it was, a bunch of, old guys in a dark room making these decisions. Well, no, it was us that did the vote. So that's another important thing. There's things like that will happen. If you look at just what is the nature of a precinct officer? Well, if you just go to the rpk.org and look at the rules, it'll say, hey, we're there to support the candidates. And that can be knocking on doors, making some phone calls. It can be, helping them financially and whatnot. I mean, that's sort of the extent of it. One of the things that we're talking about and with these standing committees is, do we want to do a little bit more? We've got, especially on the women's side, and I keep looking over here towards Debbie Neal Tate, the women's club is very active with, I believe Lindsay is the chair of that committee. The education committee with the women's group. Yeah. Again, there's a lot of stuff, as we've heard, people pulling kids out of school because of masks and whatnot. There's a lot of things going on inside of Oldham County with the schools. So we're talking about, more of a partnership with the Oldham County Republican Women's Group to, really focus on some of the issues. And again, some of that's the engagement, letting the school board know our stances. And again, I look around the room and I see a lot of folks in this room that have been very engaged with regards to the school board. And I'm going to talk about the school board again in just a second. But legislation, this is another standing committee, and anybody, I'm going to backtrack again, anybody, whether you are a precinct officer or not, You may just be a visitor. Maybe it's your first time here and you're wearing a Trump shirt. I love it. But you may say, man, this might be an opportunity to get plugged in. Yeah, I'd like to be on a committee that's looking at legislation. And that could be on the state level. That could be on the national level. God knows if you turn on the news, there's just the craziness is nonstop at what they're trying to do in Congress. But what do we want to do with that? You know, when we get this group to, 100 members, that's powerful. And I say that because I've had conversations with our local legislators. And I'll look at, the Tims and the Bobs as a couple of the legislators or politicians, if you will. You get 100 people contacting you, that's probably pretty powerful. Is that a fair statement? So, and I've heard that from some of our other elected officials, whether it's Dave Osborne or Jason Demas. They say, hey, when we see just this outpouring of support on a particular issue, it catches their attention. And so that's one of the things that we want to talk about is if there's particular issues that we all feel very, very strongly as a group, we want to potentially let our politicians know that. These are some things that we haven't traditionally done as a group. But I think we're open to having that because that's what I've heard when we saw really this new swell of people coming to these meetings. Is they want to get involved, they want to get plugged in, and how can we do that? So again, legislation is a committee, and then the education. And there's lots of stuff that we can talk about as far as the education committee. So these are three standing committees. So again, if you think you have any interest, there's no current mission statement written there, but if you have any interest, sign up back there, and we'd like to get these off the ground here certainly in the next 30 days or so. So that would be great. So any questions on that? It's a good question. Thank you. Please. They're actually, it's an interesting question because one of the things that we need to get more involved with is the, I'm going to call it the wagon wheel program. We get information of, Oldham County, as we've seen in the latest census, has grown pretty significantly. We got people moving into this county all the time. These are folks that we should be reaching out to A, make sure they're registered, and B, invite them to come join. The vast majority of these people are actually going to be on our side. Oh yeah, Mary was just mentioning to me here that we continue to see, if you see the statistics that are coming out of the state, we're continuing to see the state of Kentucky flipping red. County by county, district by district. The 4th congressional district is red. Hardin County just here in this last week or so flipped to being a red county. Because again, if you're not aware, right now by total registrations, we're behind by about 3 points. Yeah, 46 to 44. We're down to 2 points. So again, we're slowly but surely we're increasing, and that's going across the state, especially on the but we have actually done different things. I'll give you an example. Last summer, Mary and I on many Saturdays, and we had a table set up, specifically to try to get people registered. Well, we don't have an office anymore, but did you take it to the county clerk's office? Yeah. The easiest thing is to go online. But I'll be happy to in our next meeting, put in the notes, again, website and where you can get a ballot, or excuse me, a form or to change, because that's really what's happening. A lot of people are changing. We also, just so I can follow up on that, we also have a list of every, I feel like it keeps cutting out of me. I'll face it this way. We have a list of every registered Republican in Old County. So if you have a question, I literally could go to my computer. If you say, hey, my next door neighbor, XYZ, can you tell me if they're a registered Republican? I can tell you whether they are or not.
Well, and my biggest concern is they're doing it at the border as we speak. They're registering illegals.
You can carry registration cards. We had them at the Oldham County Day. The only problem with that is they have to give you their social security number. So that makes me nervous to carry it. But I tell them always that I have to have their social security number. I'll turn it in for them if they want, but their social security number has to go on. But I have hundreds. Becky, I'll get you some.
And again, like with Mary and I, some folks, I would literally, most people have their smartphone, pull it up on their phone and say, fill it out. And you can just fill it out right there, whether it was to register for the first time or to change their registration. Very, very impactful. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the good news is they're if you just look at their numbers, they're not. Yeah, they may look like they're out there, but not in this state. I can't speak for our border states. Sam, did you have a follow-up question?
That's an excellent message. Go see what's in precinct, and you got folks that are registered. That's a good way to go on that too. So you can connect that with recruiting.
And that is a great point, because again, folks, you are as a precinct captain or co-captain, especially if you are from your own precinct. I mean, tonight we're going to potentially vote on folks going into different precincts to fill some open positions, but you're supposed to be the ones that are going into your neighborhoods. And again, whether it's getting them registered or helping to pass out literature, whatever it might be, but engaging in your own backyard and your own neighborhoods. So, thank you. Okay, any other comments? Good stuff. Bob?
Give them the information, working direction, I don't say, I try to keep those people informed, put in their, whatever they do, everybody's always got a different way done it, they're all great, I'm good. And, those people go online, but it just goes a little further than that. Sometimes, like I say, people sometimes don't even know what election days are. And it's not because they're not smart, it's because they've got, especially younger people, they've got kids, they got all the other things that they're doing, that's not common. But the other thing is knowing people, what are the days for asking people? How do you go back there? I put it out there for people, and sometimes it gets, some HOAs and other stuff, and I understand that the internet's not everywhere, that's the internet, it's no longer having internet. We're working on that, that's something to do, but it's monumental task. We got people around it. No one realized how big it got there. It's monumental. Well, everybody wants to get involved in all the different, as people want to get involved in it, but it's like, okay, you're going to put people in the ground, what's going to happen? I speak at all. But the other kids are going to go to Wi-Fi. And all that cable stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many different talks, directions people are going. Well, there's a lot of people that feel that way.
Can I,
But in any of these things, if you don't know something, there's someone you can call.
I mean, it's still have to be
And just think about it. It's not people are embarrassed. I mean, I had people call me.
It's actually, I should put that on
It was so stupid.
our future calendar. Is to change your registration, it's the end of December.
Why did it take you 6 months? Wait, planes back close enough to, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta
Call
find
them
a
and-
reach out and ask them. Yeah, that's it. That's all.
No, thank you, thank you. And we were just, Jim was just mentioning to me as well that when we talk about things like changing your registration, I believe the law is still that if you want to change your registration, you have to do it by the end of this year. So basically by December 31st, if you want to change from D to R, that's when. Now you may say, oh, shoot, election's not until May or November. I got a lot of time. Well, no, not if you want to be voting in the primary. If you want to register to vote in either of those, I believe it's 30 days out is when you can cut off to actually register. So that's another thing that we need to remind people if they are thinking about changing their affiliations. So, today it is. Today is also. It's funny because I'm also in the LaGrange Rotary Club, and Denise is going to smile at this, but today is also National Ask a Dumb Question, and I'm not suggesting anyone here has asked a dumb question. And it's also National Sons Day, and it's also National Drink a Beer Day. So, prost. Yeah, he didn't put that in the minutes. Okay, let's keep moving on. Under new business here, I had 3 people that had reached out to me as far as becoming a precinct officer. Now, again, what happens is we do our reorganization in June. We have basically a 90-day pause where if someone in the precinct comes forward, that it's a precinct that has an opening, if they say, hey, I see that D106 has an opening, I'd be interested in filling that position. We can then take that up and vote. There's sort of a 90-day pause, which expires today. So at this point and moving forward, we can now start to fill these 21 vice captain, co-captain positions. And we've got 14 co-captain and 7 captain positions. We've got 21 of those. And we got plenty of youth positions. 22, okay. So we've got plenty of youth. So any of you that raised your hand when you're 40 or under, we've got spots for you. But 3 folks that have expressed an interest. And the other thing I'll mention is that, if you're interested in getting involved, first off, we want you to get to know us a little bit. So our suggestion is come to at least 3 meetings or an event that maybe we might be hosting or something like that. Just so that, again, we have that ability to get to know you and you get to know us. So these 3 individuals that are up on screen right now are folks that have been involved, whether it's fairly new this year or in one particular case, she has been active for many, many, many years. So Agnieszka Summerlin, she started getting involved at the start of this year, and we voted her into a precinct office position back in March or April, I forget what it was. During the reorg, her precinct was filled, E101. I see I spelled easy instead of Eastworth. So she said, hey, I'd like to get involved again. So we're going to put her up as potentially a captain in E106, because E106 is currently not covered at all, and that's the Northwood precinct. Bob Anderig, Bob is here over here in the white shirt and hat. He resides in A103. Again, that's another precinct that was full. So having had a conversation, I think, am I good to put you in A101? All right, good. And then Becky Dawn, for those that don't know, wave Becky. She resides in D103, which is East Ballersville. And we're looking to, she wanted to stay inside of her magisterial district, and there was only one spot left in her, with her magistrate, which is Steve Greenwell. So that is D106, which is Maine, which is basically downtown LaGrange, if you will. So these are three members that I would accept a motion to make them precinct officers. I would do that. What I'm going to ask though is if we could get that in writing, and I will do that at the next meeting. Okay, and it won't be an issue, but these are folks that had put it forward. You know what I'm saying? So just let me know. Well, yeah, you and I have talked about a lot of stuff. Is that okay if we hold for a month? Just so that you didn't have it. Yeah, again, you and I have talked about a number of different things. I'll put you on for next month. That's all right. Well, I try to keep people close to their existing precinct. And again, over the next month or two, if we've got folks that just showed up at the reorg and decided not to show up again, then there's going to be some other potential spots that'll open up as well. So again, we've got a motion to accept these three individuals. Mr. Jim, Debbie, I'm sorry. All right, Kevin, second. Is there any other discussion on that?
Let me just say, it's hard to do it on the spot because you want to do a lot of things and take some paperwork and some time to know exactly where the opening is. That's the only reason. I'm saying wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Okay. We have a motion, a second. Any other conversation? Okay, all in favor of these three individuals, Agnieszka, Bob, and Becky, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Perfect. Thank you. And just if go ahead to the next slide. Again, I know some of these are probably hard to read, especially if you're in the back of the room, but these are the precincts that are currently open. So, most of us probably don't know necessarily all the A104s versus an H106, but you can see whether it's, South Crestwood, North 22, there's several precincts that we have no coverage whatsoever. So these are opportunities for us to get some folks over those precincts. Please. You signed up online. Are you familiar with that? I'm not even familiar with that. Online, there's a. Oh. I will check that with Julie Barnes to check online to see if there's with the city clerk. She's saying that you can fill out and volunteer for various things.
You could also do poll
watcher, but she's saying possibly for this too. I'm not familiar with that. Okay, thank you. We will look into that. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And just for some of you that are kind of looking maybe at your watches, I've been chatting with David Osborne. David was planning to get here tonight. Unfortunately, as things happen, especially when you're the Speaker of the House, he got a little overcommitted today. He started off in London. And he thought, hey, if I could just head from London, which as many of you may know, that's about 2.5 hours, I think, south of here. Then he says, oh, shoot, I got called, I got to swing by Frankfurt. And so I texted him here just about 20 minutes ago saying, hey, how's it looking? He says, man, they kept us late. So that's why we've got time to kind of talk about these things. Hopefully we'll catch up with David at a future meeting. So again, we wanted to have David Osborne. David is the Speaker of the House. I thought it would be a great opportunity for him to talk about what just happened in this recent special session. Talk about redistricting, which he did send me a note that said we will have some information that's more public information in the next couple of weeks, which could impact several people in this room. And I also am curious, since so much of the focus in the legislature these last couple of years has been on what? The pandemic. There's got to be other things for us to talk about in the legislature. So I said, I'd love to hear, we got these super majority in the Senate and the House. What's your priorities for next year? Let's, put some of this other stuff and the shenanigans that have been going on between the Senate and the House and our wonderful governor. Let's put that behind us. Let's focus on some of the other things that we need to get accomplished as a state. So anyways, apologies that he could not make it here. Under the announcements, I've already talked about number 1, number 2, and number 3. If I were to encourage you folks in this room to do anything, it's these next 2 things. The school board, they had their regular meeting last night. They have a special meeting on Thursday. That meeting is to get public input on the tax rate. Now, what you're going to hear, folks, is the tax rate's flat. Doesn't that sound great? They didn't take our tax rate up. How many of you think that your taxes aren't going up? Your taxes, unless your property assessment stayed flat or your property assessment went south, which probably didn't happen, most of us, myself included, you probably had your assessment go up. Okay? So if the rate's 80 cents, and let's say simple math, your house was 100,000, your property is 100,000, and now it's worth 120,000. 80 cents on 100 versus 80 cents on 120. Did your taxes just go up? Yes, they did. Same thing for the fire district. Same thing for, in this case, next Monday, where the city of LaGrange is going to be doing the same thing. Politicians are going to say, I didn't take your tax rate up. And everyone goes, oh, that's wonderful. And I say, did my taxes go up? And then all of a sudden it gets real quiet. I've already informed Joyce Fletcher that I will be at the meeting on Thursday. And I said I will be addressing those 2 things. Number 1, you're taking the revenue is going up by, did I note it here, $3.9 million. With a flat tax rate, that doesn't sound like we're taking taxes down. So, it's coming from that increased valuation. So they've put it out there where that's going to. And a lot of that's a good chunk of that. I think it was 2.2 million of it is going towards raises and retirement. Okay. The second part, and again, I told Joyce this up front. This is 2 questions. I'll let you prep for it. The second part is they took your taxes up last year, right? From 78.8 to 80 cents. Why did they do that? They did that because we had virtual learning. We had technology needs. Are we virtual learning this year? Technology needs were taken care of last year. So that tax increase last year, where did that go? Taxes never go south. So it's a real question. If the taxes didn't go south, you increased revenue by several $1 million. That has to have gone somewhere. And I don't know if anyone could answer where that might have been. Yes, ma'am.
I do. It's much that there's a couple things that they got less money. There's strong indicators that income children is tied to money from the COVID relief, so they are hanging on to it for dear life. It works out to be about $500 per student. I would like to write a check for $500 to get the money to get them, I have to see them on that. Here's $500, some that's right there, right? But they want that money from the COVID relief plan. And there is some evidence that George Fletcher herself, who is a construction, pays about $24 trail. That's actually reviewed by a couple of people. And I would like to, somebody to do the other.
Well, I can, maybe, I don't know if, I'm assuming that's all public information, so, I'm assuming Barb Winters can tell us that answer.
So if we voted, if they voted yesterday, let the parents choose, their money for test and stay would gone away, and then parents or families or whatever would be stuck with that fund. Test and stay. I'm sorry, guys. I did test and stay with 4 kids for a whole week. They're false negatives and false positives. If your child is unquarantined, actually gets COVID, which is what happened in our family, we have 18 in our family, we all got COVID. If that child is after my PCC, my doctor, she told me that my son's negative and the test was false negative, because she said if they recover from COVID, they're gonna test positive for COVID for up to 5 days or more. So the test ended in and they don't care about the Bobcat school board, does not care about that, okay? They have this great presentation with graphs and everything else. With graphs and everything else, that they acted like they were basing a decision on it, about the test today, on their big PowerPoint TV. But the numbers were weird. And 2.7% positive rate on day 1, 2.2 on day 2, 2.4, 2.14. And then the day after that, there was a 0, and it was 2.7, and then the very last day, when they decided that their averages for the whole time they've been doing testing today, we're not going to show an increase in COVID, and we're going to go here. That last day, right before the meeting, 4.9, guys, it's going up. But I believe that those numbers have been, maybe not half. There's no source.
I made this chart all by myself right before the meeting, no source.
They say positive, they went to that school, so they go to test day, there's no problem. It is to get tested for COVID, is this one of the directions on it, or is this one of the that possibly was within a 20-mile radius if you had COVID, right? So there's none of that, they're not using it.
There's a member of the district calling me. I don't know what who it is. But his whole thing was he wanted to talk to me and said that our group, if we could be a little less loud, I guess is the right word, and that he felt intimidated about our board meeting Monday, and did admit that, you know, if we got rid of this mandate, that those dollars we would lose our funding. So the government funding was attached to the mask, and if we got rid of the mask, then they lose their funding. And he claimed to be one of us, wouldn't outright call himself a Republican or not, I don't know, that said, don't worry, I'm one of you, but wanted us to be quiet. So we showed up to this meeting after the school board meeting, and there was tons of liberals there. It was hard to do it. It was like the most common.
And no, they could already so when they approached the board immediately knew what team they were on.
Right, and so we needed more of our people to be there. I mean, we were all we should. But we need more of our people to be, however, if we can be reasonable and be loud at the same time, we can be aggressive. And maybe that was
Yeah. The point, let's bring it back here, folks. Yeah, the meeting is scheduled at 4:30, but typically they're going into executive session then, is that correct? And they don't normally meet until 6 o'clock, or? That's the public part of the meeting? Okay. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of issues. Again, and I've said, I will be there Thursday. I've told Joyce what I'm gonna say. I've told her up front. I said, come prepared to answer the question. Don't just sit there and say, okay, whatever. Explain to us the tax, the revenue increase. That's gonna come from your assessment. And by the way, for those that haven't met, Claire Worth, I know you came in a little late. We did some introductions earlier, but Claire is a congressional candidate in this district. She's running for the seat. She's running for the seat. So just FYI. So we recognize the folks either in office or in your case, you're one of the few that have announced. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Robin.
Okay, so you may very well not get an answer to your question.
Yeah, well, this is the Thursday meeting is for public comment on the taxes. So it's specifically, you know, again, maybe they won't, but I've asked her to. And she said she was already talking to, is it Sue Anderson, whoever their finance person is. Because she copied me on the email that she sent to her to say, hey, could you help draft a response? And I said, just be prepared to discuss that on Thursday as well. So.
I don't know if anyone here knows the numbers. Students were withdrawn from school this year. I think 5 or 7 friends have told their kids. But I wonder if that would be tied to that, you know, saying we lost so much funding because we have less children in school. Can we get the number of how
Yeah,
many?
yeah, go ahead.
100 students. And I'm not exactly sure. 500 students, so that's about $1 million. Okay, that's good. It is about $1 million to make last year. Actually, we're a little bit bigger about, and we were surprised that we even more last time we asked them about it. They told us that we had lots of students. That was only a few. And if they had the enrollment, they got it. So for this company on the website, I don't know if you know. I think it's an opportunity to have some here in Golden County where we consider it freedom without a mask, where we can give them classical education, right? And this might be the moment because they will still get money for the high school kids. So they said, let's say they're $40,000 per student, $20,000 students, okay? You know, $55 million that we serve, and they annually get a budget that's now in the taxes, like that, probably around about $6 million. They have a whole bunch of property, nobody knows how much money that is, right? So they're running on over $100 billion a year, plus or minus, with a deficit of go over, and I think they're not her houses. So $1 million is not that big of a drop in their market, right? If it is some help, they can get less than But the way that I see it, charter school work, and I know that there's lots of that, like, is to a wholesale program, they simply ask how to do it. These founding fathers, founding families, to build a school board, they don't have to do it forever, so it's started and they're going to have to time. So it takes a lot less money to do a charter school. In Colorado, we saw a charter school started at $3 million. And here it's $11 million. Now they started with the building already existed, they just reformatted the building, and the building was donated in the first 5 years. And then after that, and they was doing it for $7,000 per student. I think everything's more expensive in Colorado, that would probably be $10,000 per student. And Oregon County did $2,000 per student for all the homeschool kids they had in this time already. Right? So I want to keep the 2,000 that they already did, but it's going to be families that were already in school for this year. And that's probably about 1,400 students. And it's additional 500 students. Right? And I think it's going to stand out among the students. We can do it so well. We have every school desperately trying to outperform. And then we'll leave the board. And then we will.
Yeah, there you go. just mention this. I'm gonna move on here if I could, because we typically do try to keep the meeting to an hour. As you folks, and again, I look at some of the newer folks here in the room. You can see that there's a lot of passionate conservative Republicans in here. Lisa has been very active at school board meetings. She put her name in as one of the candidates to fill the open school board position. But again, we've got a number of individuals that have been holding the feet to the fire of the school board. So let me go on, and then we can continue to talk even, maybe a little bit afterwards, although we may have to move outside. So I want to be sensitive to our friends in the back there as well. Let me just, so again, Thursday, if you can show up 6:30, it'd be nice to have a nice crowd there. If you live in LaGrange, or if you want to just come support some of us that live in LaGrange, their meeting is next Monday at 6:30. Same thing is going to happen. They've already done the first reading. They're going to do the second reading. They had to actually take the tax rate down from 20 cents to 19.9. You heard that right, from 200 to 19.9. Why? Because that got them to a 4% increase in revenue. By state law, they couldn't go higher than 4%. So they had to take it down to 0.199. So again, your city council folks are probably saying, isn't that nice? I'm taking your tax rate down. Are they really? My tax rate, I'm sure I'm going to see a bill that's going to show me a little more this year than last year. So again, same question to them. What is that 4%? They already passed their budget in June, folks. Understand that. So this new assessment, this 4% increase in revenue is unplanned. It was not expected in their budget. Anytime a politician has an opportunity to gain 4% in revenue, they'll figure out ways to spend the money. Trust me, right? So again, I want them to be able to go on the record, because what happens? You folks are going to see it. All of a sudden at the next election, they're going to say, look at that. I came and I took your tax rate down. They aren't going to say, I charged you more in taxes. So that's another opportunity. 6:30 at City Hall. By the way, on their website, it says it's at Fiscal Court. It is not. It's at City Hall in their gymnasium area there. So if you can, show up for that meeting. They also do broadcast on Zoom as well. And they're actually pretty good. I think Robin would agree that if you put a comment, if you can't make it, you want to make a comment in support of the discussion, you're welcome to do that. And I think they will acknowledge the folks, because I'll be honest with you, when I went to the last city council meeting last week, there was 3 of us that were in the room. And the other 2 had specific issues that they were there for. So I was there to listen. And that's where I'm hearing some of this stuff. Well, yeah, that's a different thing. Oh yeah, yeah. All right, number 4 and number 5, Debbie Neal Pate up in the front of the room here. She's heads the women's club. They meet the second Tuesday of each month. They're actually doing 2 meetings now. They typically meet at 11 o'clock right here. Some of us that, again, are working folks and whatnot that can't meet at 11 o'clock, they also are having evening meetings as well. Getting some great speakers in. And when we say women's club, there's a few of us, I think you are still, that are associate members of the club as well. So it's not strictly women that are attending these meetings. So gentlemen, you're welcome to join as well. Is that safe for me to say? And then number 5, if you want to mention again, the
we will have, we are honoring all of the first responders. So it's going to be more fun and not so political. But we'd love for you to come, get an invitation from me, or be a sponsor. And if you're a sponsor, I hope to have it on these things going through dinner so that they can see who sponsors. So if you're running for an office, I think that's a great thing to do. And here's the other thing. November 6th, write it down. We are having a campaign school here hours, then it's gonna cost $25. Do you know anybody that wants to run school board, magistrate, county judge, sheriff? We had 22 elections in 2022. Let's make sure that they know what they're doing. I say I don't want a dog catcher being a judge, and I don't want to be a judge running the dog catcher. So let's get the most qualified Republican candidates. This will give them a heads up how to do something. Just knowing where to buy signs, or that you have to buy signs or palm cards, is something that is worth a whole lot. Plus, we will have a lot of information on events where they should attend and get their name out. It takes 13 times for someone to get their name out, and that's something they don't have. 13 times. So we see about that. We love to have it.
What time?
I think we're doing 10 in the morning, but don't come home meeting.
Contact you for more information.
Yes, please do. Gary, Inspirational Grounds. Dr. Gary is a big supporter of the Republican Party. We have our meetings here. Now we have these GOP meetings here. So he is going to let us do the school here also.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing that you said about the reality of what you say is true. And not taking it back. One of the things you how this works. We did not raise taxes in fiscal court. So your tax bill, when you look at tax, there's all kinds of stuff on it. But I'm going to go to the survey fiscal court. Okay, we didn't raise that number. We didn't lower it. Now, will we receive more money from Western State? Me. The only way that I would end up paying this support, any additional tax from my home, was if the PBA reevaluated up. Now, I'm not going to speak for anybody but me. I know the PBA, normally they order the county each report. They have a period of and challenge their amount that they evaluate your home. In my case, you got to remember this applies to everyone. You have three prices on your home: the one you're insured for, the one they tax you on, and the one you'll sell for. I guarantee you, I would not even come close to selling my house to what the EPA evaluates that. So I will say this to anyone: if you think your taxes are too high, you need to talk to the PPA department. This is very, very open. And maybe y'all can come to a reason why your house isn't worth as much as it is. But I would also say to you, well, okay, will you sell your house for that? And if you tell me no, then I think there's somewhere that maybe his sticker might be a little jaded to one side. Now, the second thing I want to say is if you work in the branch, not live, work in the branch, they have the occupational tax. And I'm not knocking the mayor, they were right. I haven't heard he wants to double. 1 to 2%. That's but I don't know if they need the occupational tax because I don't do the budget in the city. I'm chairman of the budget in Oakland County. Okay? I can tell you this: if I would tell anyone, and this applies to me, and I haven't done it yet because I only work a small amount of my manager's time in the city of the branch, and it's really a minuscule number. When I have to pay the taxes in the branch, because looking at the management salaries is nothing like the judges and the sheriffs and PBAs and all that. That's high dollar. Read the law and see who's been carved out that doesn't have to pay the occupation. And you'll find that most of the people that's been carved out are the ones that make the most.
That's what?
That make the most money. I'm not gonna point out names of careers or professions or anything like that, but read the law and you'll find out. And I'm not gonna make any friends in this platform. I get a little hacked off with, I ran my campaign years ago when they raised the insurance premium tax. They said, we're raising the insurance premium tax 5%. I looked at the paper, I said, 5%, that's not too much, and I got to read the article. Now, they didn't raise it to 5.5, they raised it to 5.10. And that's exactly how I want to raise, because people didn't realize that they doubled the insurance. Didn't raise the half. So, before you get to the draw, and I'm just want to bring this out, make sure that you understand exactly what's being said. Don't take everything, don't take everything not to be taught. Okay? Look into it, ask questions, get the right answer.
And I think, you know, Bob, you and I are kind of saying the same thing, maybe a little differently. You're right. Is my property assessed at a value that I certainly wouldn't sell it at if I were putting it on the market today? Oh, heck no. So you're absolutely right. My point is very simple. My assessment went up. So when I hear that the tax rate was flat and people are saying, isn't that wonderful? I'm paying more taxes. And at the end of the day, I tell people, is it really about a rate or is it about the amount of the check that you're writing? That's what I think most folks are concerned about, is every year, more and more is coming out of our pocket. So whether it's the school board increases, whether it's this increase because of assessed value, you know, all of this stuff. So I think we're saying on the same page here. Denise, you have a quick comment? Denise Watts Wilson.
Yes, very quickly. One is for those in the room who are not young and 65. There is something called a homestead exemption. And I hope everybody will smile for that. It lowers your tax rate.
35%.
Yeah, right. It's a nice little cut. Also, the other, what I really want to ask is there a way for precinct captains to get a map of the precinct? So I do want to go door to door and do voter registration. You can do that.
Yes, and I will, again, I'm looking to the secretary, we'll put a link in the meeting minutes that has the map, so you can see very specifically, because there's two things. I mean, you can see the 38 precincts and it'll say it's, you know, center field or whatever, and that might give you a clue, but there's also a map, and you can, you know, blow it up and you can see very specifically those orders, because when you know, when I hear where is A101 versus H106, it's all over the place. So.
And along that same line, if you're in the
Excellent, thank you. Liz, do you have another?
Also, in regards to what Keith was saying, can we get a list of registered voters within our county to reach out, or within our district precincts to reach out to them? Is that through the county clerk, or is that something that?
We have that information, so we can assist you with that information. Okay, make it quick.
No, it's not. So
Okay.
October 16th, there's a Patriot rally that is being put on by elected people, British Protection League, and some others, and we have some guest speakers. The whole focus of it is Patriots supporting Patriots. So if you have a business that you want to come and promote, if you're going to run for office, we're going to be speaking. We have some other people who are going to be speaking. So October 16th, and we'll get a flyer out.
Yeah, absolutely. Get it to us and we'll include that. What we're going to try to do is talking with our secretary as we kind of get ourselves organized over these last couple of months is literally we're going to try to get the meeting minutes out within, I'm going to say 5 days of this meeting. So if you have anything like that, I'd be happy to include that with that. And part of that is because like that, you know, we've got events. Well, if I send it out the meeting minutes a week before, the event's come and gone. So we want to get some of these things out. We'll send the meeting minutes out again right before the next meeting, but that way you folks have some of the potential events that are upcoming. So let me just go through the rest of this here. We've talked about a number of these things as to when City Hall meets. Fiscal court, first and third Tuesday of each month. I'm sure Bob would love to see some of us at those meetings. And again, folks, if you're here, you're interested, right? You want to make a difference. When you go to a city hall meeting and no one's there, you know, and there's maybe a handful of people on Zoom, they feel like no one's watching. Conversely, look at the school board. Probably up until this year, they haven't had nearly the participation. So suddenly they say, oh, you know, and it's not like they're doing necessarily the things we always want to see, but at least they know there's people out there watching and paying attention. Our next, and the next, after that, then the next Board of Education meeting is October 25th. Our next meeting is the day after on the 26th. Again, as long as they're allowing us to continue to meet here, I think this is a great facility. One of the questions I asked David is, you know, he thinks that they're going to have that initial plan as far as redistricting out in the next couple of weeks. Of course, that's still going to require legislature to approve and all that kind of good stuff. Right now, the filing for offices opens up November 3rd, and it's scheduled to close on January 7th. Again, that could be a bit of a moving target, but Debbie said something very important. There's a number of offices that are open this next year, and we've got a number of folks that are not running again. So, you know, whether that's, you know, the sheriff, Mike Simpson, the local jailer, the city clerk, I understand the county judge. Mary's nodding her head. So John Carter is not going to run again. So, you know, we need to understand that. And I'm putting the collective we out there, need to know what those positions are and be looking at good qualified candidates that could be running those positions. We don't meet on the fourth Thursday in November and December. I've put on here that I'm proposing a meeting on December 14th. So sort of 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. I would like to get a meeting together. I know it's December. I don't want to get too close to Christmas, but what I'm concerned about is if we go from no meeting from October and the filing deadline is passed in January, and we haven't had a chance to sit down and chit chat. That's probably one of my bigger concerns is just to make sure that we are understanding who those candidates are that are running for office, and do we have any seats that we don't have a good Republican running. And then I just noted on here some of the election dates in May and November. So that was it on the agenda. Again, I know we ran long. I thought we had a lot of good conversation here, and if folks want to continue to talk outside, we do have to kind of close down the event here. But Jim, did you have a question?
So is there going to be a goal at the next meeting? If you want that meeting on December 14th.
Should we take a motion now?
I would move to have a meeting on December 14th.
And I believe I've got a second from Ken Coleman. Okay.
If the facilities are available.
Yeah, or we'll find another one. So any questions or?
Richard Martin, D106C. Forgive me, I left my glasses at home. Somebody look up and turn the lights on. Good. On precinct captain.
Richard, before you do that, since we have a motion on the floor, can I hold that just for a second? Hold that for a second here, because we do have a motion on the floor. I'll come right back to you here. So the motion is basically to have a meeting on December 14th. So all in favor of doing that, say
Wait a
aye.
minute.
Oh. Go ahead.
December 14th. Are you having an evening meeting every month?
Yes.
Okay, that's the same night as the.
Okay. You got dibs. Well, all right, but that's a great point. I do not want to compete with the Women's Club. We are friends.
We can do it.
Okay, so you want to withdraw your motion and have us, and we'll have it we'll look at the calendar and we'll do that at our next meeting. So is that okay with our seconder as well? Tim's nodding his head up and down, so perfect, yes, okay. We'll hold off, but we'll see, maybe it's the first week or something like that. Yeah, go ahead.
3 or 4 months ago, we had people running all over this place one day, get involved, get something done. And here's one thing we can do to help clean up the election process in our place. First precinct, who sets that up? I did one years ago, but I was working with my state representative, and he's the one that got me to it. Who does that? Who sets that up? It's the first precinct plan.
Are you talking about precinct officers, or are you talking about the people registered inside of precincts? Yeah. And that is a priority, as most of you know, for the Secretary of State. I've asked that very question. I've knocked on doors for many candidates. When you knock on a door and you see that there's 3 different family names there, and one family probably hasn't lived there for like 10 years ago, it's a concern. I can't do anything on that app that says these folks have moved. I've got hundreds of people that are not in this county that are showing as registered inside of the county. So right now there is a process of sending out these cards. If these cards come back that says no longer lives at the residence, that's again, one opportunity for him to remove people from the role. He's got Secretary of State has got a number of processes that he's working on. I was a little frustrated that I felt like I couldn't do anything to it unless you have a way you could.
Well, you have a precinct map that you can send out digital. Do you have precinct map?
Yes.
With the names in there?
Yes.
I need to say it.
Yeah.
They have their own, and we use that, so maybe I can give that to you guys.
Well, we literally have every registered voter in Oldham County. Oh, it absolutely is. And that's, again, if you can look at that list and see that there's 3 different people living at an address, that would seem like a no-brainer. Put the note out and get them off. Right, and hopefully you put no longer lives here and send it back. Yeah. Well, and again, questions like that, we can look and see. I can pull up your address and see if it still shows people that have lived there previously. So we've got that information. So, go ahead, please.
Well, what I did was I copied it and sent it back and said, no longer lives at this address.
Well, and should the post office be sending that back as well, if no one, they know it's not affordable.
I didn't just throw it back in the mailbox. Yeah, I wrote it on the outside. I didn't just expect it to come to office. I think it's
But you're bringing up a very valid point, especially states like California that send a ballot out to every registered public, every registered voter. And think about the potential abuse there. Oh, by the way, if you fill out a second ballot, it's not for felony, just in case you're thinking. Go ahead.
So So with all this conversation, what can we do to get precincts heard?
Again, right now, as I understand it, if we are waiting for the Secretary of State to continue to merge it on his level. Oh, yeah, and Michael's doing it. I mean, this year, I think we lost 100,000 registered voters. We can certainly have that conversation.
I think you have this new presidential election before you can consider taking off the roll unless you're dead.
Or you sent in your actual information.
It's because most people are plans that you're trying to cheat people out of. It's a real sticky wicket.
Yeah, there's no great answer.
You call his office and they can tell you what I do. I've got the same situation. I've got people I know that they're on the fourth opener for the home, and the other three still show up.
Okay.
I've heard this stuff.
All right, we're well past time. Great discussion here, folks. And it actually, hey, maybe it worked out well that we didn't have David here. I will get him to another meeting for us. But anyways, Tim.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor. And again, if you'd like to continue the conversation, we will need to move outside because we need to close the facility down here. All in favor of adjourning?
If you were one spot under 40, please come in.
We've asked to do that. He said it wasn't necessary. I mean, again, a few of us have kind of first actually, because of this meeting, they became precinct members. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Hey,
October.
Instead of.
Hold on 1 second, Sue.